to the Success with Jewelry podcast, where we invite you inside our conversations about business success and marketing for jewelry designers and entrepreneurs.
We're Laryssa and Liz, jewelry marketing experts with a combined 16 years of experience in jewelry marketing and proven track records in helping jewelry brands meet their goals. When you listen to or watch this podcast, you get an intimate and exclusive peek behind the curtain of all the things you wish you could know about earning success in this industry.
Welcome to episode 13. In this episode, we'll be talking about planning, and we'll be covering the following topics: how to get started, setting goals and objectives, and creating your plan. We also want to tell you about our insider community. When you join for only $20 a month, you'll have access to extended episodes full of tips that you can start implementing today and further resources about each topic we discuss. To access this exclusive content, sign up by visiting successwithjewelry.com. Hey Laryssa, let's get into it. First thing is I want to ask you a question. How do you plan your year and when do you get started?
I love getting started in late October, early November, so around when we're recording this. I love first, and we'll talk about this, but starting by setting my goals, deciding what I want to achieve and what's it going to take for me to get there, and then literally just plotting everything out, usually first with a brainstorm, and then putting things on the calendar wherever it makes sense to do that. How about you, Liz?
Yeah, October is a great time to get started. We're actually mid-November now, and I'm like getting a little bit like, okay, I need to have a game plan, but I am really into the big picture planning. I love that for myself and my clients, and thinking about kind of like big ideas and content we want to share and create throughout the upcoming year. But I'm not so good at the details and really drilling down into specifics and budget and all that kind of stuff. So let's get into this. How do you get started planning? The first thing you want to do is review the last year. You want to review sales reports. You want to review all your monthly reports. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I don't have reports, start reporting now, because having everything down, knowing your numbers, knowing your data is incredibly helpful. So if you are, kind of right now not really understanding what you sold this past year, maybe you have a feeling, maybe you think but really look at a sales report and create a sales report if you haven't already, because you need to know what category and price point you sold the most of. So what was that price point that performed really well this past year, and what category did you sell in? So were you selling mostly earrings, mostly rings? That will help you decide what to create going forward. And the same thing with your marketing reports, your social media reports, how your emails performed. Knowing all of that is really, really helpful. And again, if you haven't created a report in the past, start now and look at this past year.
Yeah, I think a major reason why people get overwhelmed with planning is because they don't have reference. They don't really know where to start. Numbers will always take anxiety and stress away because they don't lie. They make everything really transparent and real. So if you can get comfortable with numbers, you can use those as a springboard to really set specific goals that you want to achieve.
And something else to think about is how your major promotions went this past year, how your launches went this past year. It's always great to take notes right after these things happen, but if you haven't done that, then just look back now and take some notes on how things did, because you probably won't remember a year from now, but it's information that will be really helpful. And knowing what did well will help you decide what you want to do again. So the next thing you want to focus on is setting goals and objectives. So the best place to start is how much you actually want to sell, and really setting a goal to your year, which is easier said than done. But goal setting is really important because, like Laryssa mentioned, knowing your numbers will ease your anxiety. So set a big goal for the year. I like setting a realistic goal kind of based on past sales, and then I like to set a stretch goal because I think that's just kind of helpful to help push yourself and kind of push your business forward. But if that big number is kind of overwhelming to you, I love the idea of breaking it down by piece count and also breaking it down by month. So if you want to sell $250,000 this year, then you need to sell $1,500 pieces each month to meet your goal. And that will help you really understand where you're at throughout the year. So by the time you get to this point in the year, you know if you need to really hustle to meet your goal during this last quarter, or if you can kind of relax a little bit.
It helps so much to break things down like that. And I think if you're not sure, even if you have a number and you're like, okay, well, I don't really know how to get there, think about like the months where you had the highest sales or you got the closest to your goal. What was different about those months? Was it the time of year? Was it because you did a certain type of marketing or you tried something new or you were really diligent about outreach? Try to like copy that and it will help you more reliably like predict these goal revenue months.
And outside of sales goals, you also want to look at, do you want to apply to any awards or shows? What do you want to do with that? Do you want to try to grow your email list? Is that a goal of yours? Do you want to increase your open rates, increase your social media engagement? Do you want to open new wholesale accounts? Do you want more direct-to-consumer clients? Write all of these goals down and take them out of your head, put them somewhere, because you'll want to come back to these. You'll want to think about them all year, and especially when you're planning. So let's get into actually creating your plan. The first thing you need to do is choose your marketing channels. So think about where you want to put your focus. Are you focused on Instagram? Are you going to focus on email marketing? Do you want to incorporate TikTok into your strategy? Do you want to do any retail shows or trade shows? Do you want to, expand your reach somehow and think about trunk shows or think about a new strategy? Choose your channels, because getting really clear on this, when new opportunities come up, you won't be tempted to jump on something that wasn't a part of your plan, that you weren't working towards. So I really encourage designers not to jump on new things and to really focus on what you've decided to focus on and then expand from there.
That's a great point, because I think especially when you're reaching for a bigger goal, it's maybe a little bit more ambitious. The first impulse might be, all right, I'm going to throw everything at the kitchen sink. I'm going to try all the things. I'm going to be in all the places. But it's actually better to choose what and where you think will have the biggest impact and then focus really specifically on those things, because otherwise you'll be spreading yourself way too thin.
Yeah, and the more consistent you are and clear and focused you are about what you're doing, the more results you'll see. And results don't happen overnight. I want to just say, sticking with something for several months, half a year, that's when you're really going to start to see if something's really working for you or not. I think something else that's really important when you're creating your plan is understand who you want to reach. So think about direct outreach. Think about your prospect list in terms of direct clients and also wholesale clients. And really make a list of all of these people and keep track of when you're reaching out to them, when you plan to reach out to them, what you're promoting to them, and maybe any goals you have too. Maybe you have a client who's purchased 2 pieces from you last year, and this year you have 3 in mind that you want to sell to them, or you have more of a financial goal. You want to sell $1,000 worth of your work to this collector versus the $500 they spent last year. Creating a document like this, I think, will be really helpful, because as we've talked about before, sales don't just happen. You have to really push for them. And so the next thing you want to do is set your budget. And I'd love Laryssa to talk a little bit about this, because I really am not great at it.
Yeah, setting a budget, I think, feels foreign to smaller business owners, to solopreneurs, because they're so focused just on getting whatever revenue that they're able to, that they're not necessarily thinking about spending money to make money. They just want it all to come in. But if you want to be in business for a long time, if you want to keep leveling up and you want to take your business to the next level, inevitably you're going to have to spend money. It's just how it goes. So it's good to start feeling comfortable with that now and having a strategy around it. Typically, like a marketing budget is 8 to 10% of your revenue. So you can kind of average out what like your monthly revenue is and take a portion of that, or just look at the whole year and then decide, okay, what are the most essential tools that I need? What are the things I'm going to need? Is it some kind of platform like MailChimp? Is it going to be a freelancer to help you with some graphics? Is it going to be some photography stuff, consultant, direct mail things like postcards or cards, packaging, updates to your website? These are all things that fall under the umbrella of marketing. And you should kind of try as best as you can to anticipate those needs for the year and then give like a rough estimate of how much you want to spend on that. And you could just go on Google and see like what's the average cost of like whatever insert thing here and get like a rough price and then put that into your budget for the year.
One of my goals this year is to get better at budgeting and being strategic about how I put money back into my business. So that's one of my goals. And I think that really knowing your numbers too is so helpful when you're making a budget and knowing them throughout the year, so that if you do have an opportunity and you want to expand your marketing budget and you've been exceeding your goals each month, then you can do that. So knowing your numbers is so important. The next thing you really want to think about is how you're going to implement all of these things. Are you going to outsource it? Are you going to hire somebody? Do you want to work with a photographer to get new content for your Instagram and website? Think about all of this in advance. And then you want to put everything on a calendar. So, whether it's a calendar that's on your wall or one of those big desk calendars or a digital calendar, put everything on a calendar, because this is really helpful in terms of planning not only your big picture, but then when you're actually coming down to promoting each thing. So any trade shows, trunk shows, direct-to-consumer shows, and then any collection launches. I also love determining when you're going to do sales or promotions at the beginning of the year, because then you're not swayed to do a last-minute sale or promotion. And then also application deadlines for either shows, awards, or grants. Think about all of this, put it on a calendar. And then what I like to do from here, after I have kind of all the events and things that I want to do, is choose big picture content themes for each month and really keep in mind these big events that you have put on your calendar. So whether you're looking at just the first quarter, which is a great start, or the first 6 months, or if you want to kind of look at the year as a whole, choose these big picture themes. So for example, in January, you want to plan to have a friends and family sale, and you also want to focus on birthstone jewelry. So you want to focus on garnets. So that's your big plan for January. And from there, it's so much easier to create your emails and create your social media content. Also, if you're launching a collection, really plot out your promotion plan. So give yourself 2 weeks, 3 weeks to start teasing it and start talking about it, and have a game plan in terms of when you're outreaching editors and retailers, and get all of this on a calendar.
Yeah, and I would also add to that, if there are certain patterns that you notice in your business, like when's a slower period or a busier period, or you have certain like milestones that you've achieved, you may want to just note that for the coming year so that you're not surprised, like if it happens again. Or if it doesn't happen again, that's just good feedback to know, okay, maybe this isn't a pattern. Maybe it was just a one-time thing. But you kind of need to get comfortable with those like ebbs and flows of your business so that you're not scared if they happen in the future, and just understand that's like a natural cycle of things.
Yes, and if you know, then you can save for it and plan for it, so it's not as scary when it is happening. I also want to say that a lot of designers get, and myself included, get really overwhelmed with planning, because it's like it feels like you need to like have graphs and create like some fancy PDF and all of that. But I love a Google Doc. I love a pen and paper. Wherever you kind of want to go through everything we talked about here and write it down and kind of think about the year ahead is great. The fact that you're doing it is great. So just a simple Google Doc with a bullet point list or just pen and paper is great. And I'd love for you to really think about planning, because it is so helpful for your business and it will make your year a lot less stressful. So we'd love to know, have you started planning for 2023? Was this information helpful to you? Let us know. Again, you can visit successwithjewelry.com to sign up for the extended episode as well as the exclusive content. Thank you so much for listening.